Listen, from today, you will behave like one of the sales boys here. Nobody should know you are my husband.
Ibubuchi was a man blessed with wealth and comfort. At just 28, he had already built several electrical shops in the big city. Many people respected him, not only because of his riches, but also because of his good heart. He was gentle, humble, and always ready to help anyone in need. But even with all the good things in his life, there was still a hole in his heart. His father had died years ago, and the only family he had left was his mother. She was his joy, his strength, and the reason he worked so hard. Everything he did to make her proud and happy. So when it came to marriage, his mother wanted the best for him. She prayed he would marry a woman who would love him sincerely, a woman who would take care of him the way she had. Then came Ukwachi. The first time Ibubuchi set his eyes on her, his heart was captured. To him, she was everything he wanted. Her laughter, her boldness, the way she spoke, it all drew him closer. He became convinced that Ukwachi was his missing rib. But his mother was not at peace. Something about the woman troubled her. One quiet evening, she sat with her son and spoke softly.
My son, I don't think this woman will give you peace. Please think well before you marry her. Don't allow love to blind your eyes.
Ibubuchi, blinded by his feelings, smiled and shook his head.
Mother, don't worry. Ukwachi is a good woman. I know her better than anyone else. She will change with time.
I love her, and I believe she loves me too. His mother sighed deeply, but she said nothing more. What else could she do? He was her only son. She wiped her tears secretly and pretended to accept his decision. The wedding came. It was loud, colorful, and filled with people. Music blasted from big speakers, guests ate and drank to their fill, and Ibubuchi danced joyfully with his bride. Ukwachi looked happy too, and everyone celebrated them. His mother stood in one corner, forcing a smile that she prayed silently in her heart. God, please protect my son. After the wedding, Ukwachi moved into Ibubuchi's big apartment in the city. At first, everything looked perfect. They laughed together, shared meals, and enjoyed each other's company. Ibubuchi was the kind of husband every woman prayed for. If Ukwachi complained about anything, he rushed to fix it. If she was hungry, he would drive out to buy whatever she wanted. He treated her like a queen. 6 months later, Ibubuchi surprised her with a question. One morning, while they sat in their sitting room, he looked at her lovingly and said, "My wife, I don't want you to just stay at home doing nothing. Tell me, what business would you like to do?" Without wasting time, Ukwachi answered, "I want to own a mini supermarket." Ibubuchi smiled. Within weeks, he rented a shop, stocked it with goods, and handed it over to her. "This is yours," he said warmly. "Run it well, my love." That day, Ukwachi was full of praise. She thanked him again and again, and for a while, things moved smoothly. Customers trooped in, and her shop grew. But after 1 year, life turned upside down. Ibubuchi's biggest electrical shop, the one that brought him the most money, was destroyed in a terrible fire. The fire came at night and spread so fast that nothing could be saved. All his goods, all his investment, everything was reduced to ashes. The shock was too much for him. He collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. For the first time since their marriage, Ukwachi stayed close to him. She held his hand and assured him that everything would be fine. She even shed tears with him, and Ibubuchi felt comforted. After 1 week, he was discharged. His mother visited him too. She held him and wept, begging him not to lose hope. Sometimes he stayed with him in the city. Sometimes he went back to the village, always praying for her only son. Meanwhile, Ukwachi's supermarket was doing better than ever. She had opened 3 more branches and her name was spreading in the city as a successful woman. One evening, as Ibubuchi sat quietly at home, he looked at his wife and said, "My love, since I am not doing anything now, I want to be following you to the shop. At least, it will make me feel useful." Ukwachi looked at him, smiled quickly, and said, "All right, no problem. You can come with me." Ibubuchi's heart leapt with joy. He felt this was a new beginning. He thought to himself, "At least, even if I lost my business, I can still support my wife and be close to her." But he was wrong. That decision was the doorway to the deepest pain of his life.
The next morning, Ibubuchi dressed up neatly and followed Ukwachi to her shop. His heart was filled with excitement. Even though life had thrown him down, he was determined to start afresh. He thought being by her side would bring them closer as husband and wife. But the moment they stepped into the shop, things changed. Ukwachi said sharply, pulling him aside.
Listen, from today, you will behave like one of the sales boys here. Nobody should know you are my husband. If customers find out that my husband has lost everything and is now hanging around here, they will laugh at me. So if you truly love me, hide your face. Just act like a sales boy.
Ibubuchi's jaw dropped.
What?
Ukwachi, how can you say such a thing? I am your husband.
She raised her hand and pointed at him.
Shut up. You either agree or stay at home doing nothing. I've said my own.
Ibubuchi swallowed hard. His pride, his respect, his dignity as a man, all of it burned inside him. But he loved her too much to argue. With a heavy sigh, he nodded and whispered, "All right, I'll do it." From that day, his life became a nightmare. In the shop, Ukwachi treated him worse than her staff. If he made the slightest mistake, she would shout at him so loudly that customers would turn to look. Sometimes she threw things at him, a pen, a book, even a packet of biscuits. "Useless man," she barked one afternoon. "Can't you even arrange ordinary cartons? My workers are better than you." The staff looked at each other in pity, but none dared to speak. There were days she refused to give him food in the shop. He would sit quietly, watching others eat, while hunger twisted his stomach. And when they closed as late as 10 p.m. and got home, she would search his pockets roughly, like a thief. "Let me see if you stole anything from my shop today," she hissed one night, turning his trousers inside out. Tears stung Ibubuchi's eyes. "How could my own wife do this to me?" he thought silently. But he said nothing. For peace, he endured it all. At home, his suffering was worse. After coming back from the shop, instead of rest, she would start shouting and crying, saying she was tired of feeding him. "Which kind man did I marry?" she wailed one night, throwing herself on the bed. "After giving you food, you will still be looking for my body. I am not your slave. I cannot continue like this." Every morning, before dawn, she forced him to wake up at 4 a.m. He swept the compound, washed her clothes, even her underwear, because she had forbidden him from touching the washing machine. Sometimes she flogged him with broom or belt, like a child, just for delaying small chores. Ibubuchi would bite his lips to hold back his tears, but the day came when he could no longer hide it. It was a cold evening. They had returned late from the shop, and Ukwachi was in one of her angry moods. She accused him of greeting a female customer too nicely. "Are you now using my shop to chase women?" she screamed, her voice echoing through the compound. No, my wife," Ibubuchi pleaded, kneeling outside the compound gate. "Please don't say that. I can never do such a thing. Please forgive me if I offended you." Neighbors peeped through their windows, whispering among themselves. Ibubuchi stayed on his knees, hands joined, begging his own wife. But Ukwachi walked up to him, raised her hand, and landed a hot slap across his face. "You are nothing but a disgrace of a man."
Ah! How did I even meet you? You are nothing but a fool. Like a fool, in capital letters.
She shouted. The sound of the slap echoed into the night. Ibubuchi staggered, holding his cheek, tears running freely. He broke down, kneeling on the bare ground, crying like a child. Inside him, his heart screamed, "God, is this the woman I sacrificed everything for?" But Ukwachi turned her back, entered the house, and slammed the door, leaving him outside with his shame. That night, Ibubuchi did not sleep. He sat on the cold floor outside, his eyes swollen from tears, his chest heavy with pain. The stars above blurred in his vision as he whispered to himself, "Maybe Mama was right. Maybe I married the wrong woman."
That night outside, Ibubuchi barely slept. He leaned his head against the cold wall of the compound, tears drying on his cheeks. His body ached, but his heart ached more. How could the woman he gave everything to treat him like a beggar? By dawn, he dragged himself up, swept the compound as usual, and washed Ukwachi's clothes quietly. She came out later, saw him bent over the bucket, and hissed, "Make sure you wash them well. If they are not clean, you will redo everything," she barked before heading to the shop without even giving him food. Ibubuchi forced a weak smile. "Yes, my wife," he answered softly. 2 days later, his mother came visiting from the village. She had been worried since the fire incident and decided to come with foodstuff. She harvested cassava from her farm, fried gari, plucked vegetables, and even brought yams. Carrying a big bat on her head, she arrived at Ibubuchi's house in the afternoon. "Mama!" Ibubuchi cried joyfully the moment he saw her at the gate. He ran, hugged her tightly, and tears rolled down his face. For the first time in weeks, he felt warmth. "My son," Mama whispered, patting his back. "Stop crying. It is me, your mother. You will not suffer forever. Wipe your tears." Together, they carried the bag into the house. Ukwachi was inside, pressing her phone. She looked up and scoffed when she saw the old woman enter with dusty feet. Mama greeted politely. "No, my daughter, I brought some foodstuff. At least it will help in the house." But Ukwachi did not even stand up. She rolled her eyes and muttered, "Drop it there. I'm busy." Ibubuchi's face burned with shame. He quickly helped Mama arrange the food. Then, like a dutiful son, he rushed to the kitchen and prepared soup with the vegetables Mama brought. When the food was ready, he dished it carefully into a plate and placed it before his wife. "My wife, please eat. Mama's vegetables taste sweet," he said softly. Ukwachi dipped her spoon, tasted it, and immediately her face twisted.
What nonsense is this?
She carried the whole plate of hot soup and poured it on his body. "Ah!" Ibubuchi screamed, jumping up as the hot soup burned his chest and arm. He burst into tears, clutching himself in pain. "Mama! Mama!" he cried, running to his mother like a child. He fell into her arms, sobbing uncontrollably. Mama, too, broke down, tears streaming as she held her only son tightly. My son, Mama wept. "Is this what marriage has turned you into? God, why?" Neighbors gathered again, murmuring, shaking their heads in pity. Ukwachi stood there, arms folded, not even moved by the sight of her husband crying in his mother's arms. The next morning, Mama told her son, "Ubebuchi, please come with me to the village. Let us leave this woman before she kills you." But Ibubuchi shook his head, his face swollen from crying. "No, Mama, don't worry. She will change. I believe one day everything will be fine." Mama wept bitterly. "My son, love is blind, but I pray it doesn't blind you to your grave." She packed her things and left, her heart shattered. From that day, Ukwachi's wickedness grew worse. At the shop, she stopped allowing him to eat. At home, she shouted every night that she was tired of feeding a grown man. Sometimes she deliberately answered calls from another man in front of him, laughing loudly, saying, "Yes, baby, I'll see you soon." Other nights, she would invite male friends to the house and boldly tell her husband, "Go outside and sit. I need privacy." Ibubuchi obeyed quietly, sitting outside in the cold night like a stranger in his own home. He had become a shadow of himself. One evening, after another round of insults, Ukwachi spat at him.
You are smelling. Stop coming to my shop. You don't even wear good clothes anymore. Just stay at home and rot.
That night, Ibubuchi lay on the bare ground outside the compound. His small phone rang around 4 a.m. He picked it weakly. "Hello? Is this Mr. Ibubuchi?" "Yes. Who is this?" he asked in a tired voice. The caller replied, "It's me, your former supplier. I heard what happened to you. I want to help. If you can travel to Bielsa, I will lend you money to start afresh. You can pay me back after 1 year." Ibubuchi sat up, his heart pounding. For the first time in months, a ray of hope pierced his darkness.
He looked at the house where his wife was sleeping peacefully and shook his head. Quietly, he took a piece of paper and wrote a note.
My dear wife, I love you, but I can no longer stay. It is clear you married me only for my wealth. I pray you find happiness, but you will not see me again until the right time comes.
He folded the paper, placed it on the table, and walked out of the house with only a small bag in his hand.
By sunrise, Ukwachi stretched lazily on the bed, yawning. She reached out for her husband, but the space beside her was empty. She frowned. "Where did this useless man go again?" she muttered, standing up. When she entered the sitting room, her eyes caught the folded piece of paper on the table. She picked it up carelessly, but as she began to read, her hands started to tremble. Her husband's handwriting stared back at her. "My dear wife, I love you, but I can no longer stay. It is clear you married me only from my wealth. I pray you find happiness, but you will not see me again until the right time comes." The letter fell from her hand. For the first time in a long while, the house felt empty, too empty. She hissed and tried to wave it off. "Let him go. He's a failure anyway. What can he do without me? He will soon crawl back begging," she said to herself, picking up her phone to call her boyfriend. But in her heart, she felt a strange uneasiness. Weeks passed. With Ibubuchi gone, Ukwachi began living the way she always wanted, reckless, wild, without boundaries. She brought her boyfriend into the house openly. They drank, partied, and spent the money she had carelessly. Her shop, that Ibubuchi once managed with wisdom, became a place of waste. She stopped taking records, stopped paying attention to debts, and spent more time traveling around with her boyfriend than working. 3 months later, on a bright Monday morning, she dressed up to go to the shop. But when she arrived, her heart froze. The entire building was sealed. A bold notice pasted on the wall read, "Property under legal hold. Court order." Her legs shook. "What is this?" she screamed, banging the iron door. As she panicked, a man in a suit approached her. "Madam Ukwachi?" "Yes, yes, what happened here?" The man handed her an envelope. "I'm your lawyer's messenger. This is the official document. As of last week, you no longer own this shop, the car you drive, or even your house. They've all been sold off. Due to signed agreements in your name, everything is gone." Her eyes widened and her hand shook as she tore the letter open. The truth hit her like thunder. It was her boyfriend. He had tricked her into signing away everything. Betrayal of the highest order. Tears streamed down her face as she pulled out her phone and dialed his number in a frenzy.
Hello, baby. Something is happening, oh. They said I've lost everything. Where are you?
On the other end, her boyfriend chuckled.
Oh, you finally found out?
What do you mean? Where are you?
I'm on my way to Lagos Airport. My flight to Canada is this evening.
"I just used you, foolish woman. Did you think I loved you? Bye-bye." The line went dead. "No!" she screamed, smashing her phone to the ground. She collapsed right there, fainting. Passers-by gathered, pouring water on her face until she opened her eyes, wailing uncontrollably. 2 weeks later, broken and desperate, she remembered the one person who had always shown her mercy, Ibubuchi. Carrying a small bag, she traveled to his mother's village. When she arrived, she knelt in the dust before Ibubuchi's mother compound, crying. Mama, Biko, forgive me. I wronged your son. Please tell him to take me back. I have nothing left. Please. Mama looked at her coldly. Her eyes, swollen from many years of crying for her son, held no pity. Ukwachi, you destroyed my child. You mocked him, poured food on him, disgraced him, and now you want mercy? God will judge. As Ukwachi wept, a sound of a car horn pierced the air. Everyone turned to look. A sleek, white car drove slowly into the compound. From the driver's seat, Ibubuchi stepped out. But he was no longer the weak, broken man they remembered. He looked stronger, healthier, and well-dressed. Ukwachi's mouth fell open. Ukwachi? But before she could run to him, the passenger door opened, and a beautiful young woman stepped out. She was elegant, radiant, with a warm smile. Ibubuchi walked to her side, gently holding her hand like a gentleman. Mama's face lit up with joy as she rushed to welcome them. "My son, you have come back!" Ukwachi stumbled forward, falling on her knees. "My husband, please, it's me, your wife. I am sorry. Forgive me. Don't do this to me. Please, Ibubuchi." Ibubuchi's face was calm, but his eyes held no softness for her anymore. He raised his hand slightly. "Stop there. Do not touch me." Her tears soaked the dust as she crawled closer. "Please, I was deceived. I was blind. Don't throw me away. I have nothing left." Ibubuchi looked down at her, then turned to his new wife. With a firm voice that shook everyone, he said, "This woman is my past, and my past is dead. From today, she has no place in my life. This is my wife now, the woman who stood by me when I was in darkness." He pulled his new wife closer, and together they walked inside the house. Ukwachi collapsed fully to the ground, screaming in pain. The villagers gathered, whispering, "This is the reward of wickedness. She has reaped what she sowed." Her wails echoed through the village, but no one came to her aid. And so, the woman who once had everything lost it all, not because of fate, but because of her wickedness.
Moral lesson. Marriage is never built on wealth or beauty, but on love, respect, and humility. When respect leaves a home, peace runs away. The end.